You know, when you see these men who compose these things, whether it be Purcell or John Stanley, or Handel's Messiah, or, you know, all these men were just absolutely brilliant. I don't know whether you realize this, but for instance, John Stanley, like Purcell, was a very brilliant musician as well. John Stanley, at the age of 9, became the occasional deputy playing the organ. 9. You know, most kids are battling today to read at 9. Never mind, you have that sort of position. At 11, he was appointed organist. Can you imagine? And at 14, organist at St Andrew's Church, chosen against hundreds of covers. You can imagine, everybody wanted a job. And he got it at the age of 14. At the age of 17, he got a bachelor's music degree, not from any university, but from Oxford. I mean, you know, and he lived between 1712 and 1786. Now, you know, I started to play musical instruments and piano, and I tried various things, and in the end, I found it was far easier to play the record player. It was far easier for me. But you know, the point was that these were brilliant men, and they created a lot. But the thing that was combined in all of them, the one characteristic of them all, was that they were glorifying the deity of the Bible. We know him now as Yahweh, because that's what it says in the Bible, that at the end time you will know my name. That presupposes then that previous to that they didn't know his name. So we now know his name is Yahweh, and we know his son's name was Yahshua. Because remember, you know him, Jesus said, I come in my Father's name, and if I'm Brown, I'm coming in Brown's name. If I'm Jones, I'm coming in Jones's name, and his name is Yah. That's why we say hallelujah. Hallelujah. Y-A-H. That is the family name. And so when he said he came in his Father's name, his name was Yahshua. Yahweh saves. And Yahweh is the I am, the God of the Bible, as we would call it. Well, I don't use the word God. So there we are. We, in actual fact, are very fortunate of having this amazing book. Now, what I'd like to show you is something here that is very unusual. I'm going to put my hand on it. There we are. These are two books. One is written by a guy called Richard Milton, and it's quite this guy is an atheist. But he had to admit, he said, you know, Shattering the Myths of Darwinism. And this book was written, I think, if I can see it here, it was 1992. And he was born in 1943, actually the same year as I was. He's been a journalist and backgrounds in engineering experience as newspaper editor, has travelled the world widely, reporting on scientific developments in his articles, magazines. His interest in evolutionary theory was first kindled 20 years ago as a result of his active interest in geology and paleontology. He is married with a young daughter. Now, there he is. He, in actual fact, was a scientist interested in evolution and paleontology, so he knew quite a lot about those things, and he came to the conclusion over a period of time that, you know, these things were failing miserably. There was no basis. As a matter of fact, as even many paleontologists admit today, the creationist view fits the fossil record far better than theirs, and they have less examples now. And I've got on this site up here only because of YouTube have we got this information, and because of this I've put this on this site up here because of YouTube. It's all free. But I brought this stuff together because so few people are looking at this and understanding this. But did you know that the short time scale, and they're all there, listed by this man, there are 9 methods of measuring the time of the Earth, and not one of them shows 20 billion, 14 billion years. Not one. Not one. That is all evolutionary science. Dream world, because they've got to have great periods of time to do it. And he said that. Continental drift, I mean, you know, if you imagine that the plates are moving at half an inch a year, 14 billion of half inches, you know, makes it something like, I think it's 21,000 miles. Now that means that every portion of the Earth has gone into the magma below and being dissolved. So there's no bones left in any event. So to say the bones are there is absolutely ridiculous quite often. I mean, if you look at how the Earth has moved around, as they say, from Guadalajara, the huge one Earth place. But this man makes a lot of very good points, and there are all the different things. I haven't got time to read it all here, but there we are. Got 9 methods of and giving the origins. So for instance, radionic helium in the atmosphere, pointing Robertson effect, persistence of interplanetary dust, non-equilibrium of carbon-14, persistence of short-period comets, magnetic field decay, dissolved nickel in the oceans, meteoritic dust in the atmosphere, and continental drift. And there are a few others as well, like the speed of light, etc., which Barry Setterfield has put out as well. That's a whole study in its own. But I just want to tell you that all these things do not support 14 billion years. Not at all. Nowhere. Nil, zilch, Nino, whatever you want to call it. This is a dream or it's our nightmare, you know. But on this dream and nightmare that they're doing, they keep on, you know, saying that the Bible is wrong. The Bible is wrong. It isn't wrong. They're wrong. You know, I have seen some wonderful experts in my life. My mother saw the same thing, and my father did as well, and their grandfather, you know. And, you know, when I was young, I said, oh, this is the, you know, you shouldn't be doing this, you shouldn't be doing this. Oh, yes, well, next week they'll be saying you should be doing it. And, you know, this is what we find in life. You shouldn't be having butter. The next one comes and says you should be having butter. And the next one says you shouldn't be eating eggs. And now we found if we don't have eggs, the squashola, your brain becomes stupid. You don't know where you are. You lose your way. That is the problem. So, and it's getting into younger and younger people, because this thing about eggs was around for ages, but eggs is a pretty healthy food. Now they found it's the healthy food. Meanwhile, we've got a lot of Alzheimer's cases who don't know who they are and don't know who you are or anything else. And we should have been having eggs to keep your squashola going. But that is the trend. That is the fads that we have today. And they're still appearing, and everybody goes this way or that way. And, you know, it's bought opinions. In my business, you know, if I wanted to get something passed, I had to get somebody with a degree or maybe a doctorate. And I had one man there who worked for me who had a doctorate, more degrees than I had diplomas, and probably I've had breakfasts. And that man worked for me, and when I wanted something authorized, I just said to him, you know, we need this thing authorized. He could sign because he even had a better degree and diploma than the man who was checking it. So he had to accept what this man said. And so when he signed it, it was gospel. And so that's how you buy opinions. So if you've got one doctor saying one thing, another doctor saying the other, and one expert, another expert, you got to be pretty sure that these are bought opinions. And Panin, who was an absolute atheist and just escaped from the Tsar's Okhrana, which was the secret police, got to Paris. Then from Paris he went to America, went to Yale or Harvard. He was a brilliant mathematician, was asked to write a treatise on the Bible by some rich men to pull it to pieces, and he started to do that. And he suddenly realized, being this mathematician, when he looked at the Hebrew and he found that it balanced to 7 and 13s plus a lot of other things, which is too much to go on here. So that whole book, I mean, if you've done a lot of writing, I've done a lot of writing, I have difficulty even putting the words down in syntax quite often. And here, this Bible is written with a number of layers, plus the top layer, plus the numeracy layers below it, which has to balance to 7 and 13s. Thank you very much for listening, and I just felt that we must actually honor these men and look at what they believed in and what I believe in, and not what I'm believing actually. That's a wrong thing to say. What I'm saying is, you enjoy their music, find out why they created that music. Thank you very much for your time.